you've gotten grants. I think the one I saw was it's right on your website. The $1.8 million for your pilot plant. Talk a little. I'd like to talk a little bit about that pilot plant and your testing, but I also would I think it's important because there's all these shifts happening in the energy sector right now, and I think it's important because there's going to be people that are listening, trying to understand how to develop their company and just a little bit, obviously without digging into the details, but too much, but just that process of sort of presenting yourself as a company that is going to get that money from the government to expedite your goals.
Yeah, I think, you build relationships with government grant organizations slowly but surely from an organization. Generally, they want to get to know you over time. Alberta Innovates, who provided that $1.8 million grant, have funded us twice before at $100,000 level. So they've got to know us. They give us $100,000. We developed that project. We hit all our sort of key hurdles with it. We had a successful completion. And then we did a second one. Again, same story. We successfully completed that project. And that's what they're looking for. So they really want to garner that sort of longer term relationship. The funds that we received are instrumental for us because this last grant, 1.8 million, funds the pilot. And in terms of E3's growth profile, that's the big key, almost pinnacle of demonstration for the company, because what it does is it takes something that we've conceived and demonstrates it in a scaled down commercial version. And from there, we become more of a standard company that is just developing a project, right? We're not de-risking a technology anymore. We are just simply, going through feasibility stages to construct and then eventually, hopefully, operate a commercial lithium project. So that's an incredibly important goal for us, is getting that pilot running. And right now, that grant has been instrumental to helping us. We're also, we're working on the permitting side of things to get a machine out into Alberta. We already have brine producing to surface through the back of oil production today, and we're talking to operators who have been very amenable to allowing us to tap into their waste stream, what they call their waste stream, which is for us, the money stream. So, and then we don't have to drill wells or have a big production to just run a pilot. We can tap into already existing production.
So just to paint me a little bit of a picture where you're at right now, you have a testing facility. You've now got the funds for your pilot, and then of course the next stage would be commercialization. So right now, are you in between the pilot and the testing? Is that right?
Yeah, we're with any technology that you develop, whether or not you're developing it from scratch or you're deploying a conventional tech, generally you want to demonstrate that. So the first stage for us is, and it's just about scale, right? Like eventually you end up at a commercial scale and you take it from where you are today and you demonstrate the scale. And this is the same in any mineral project. If you were a copper project, you would go to a met lab and they would do some initial testing for you in a small little machine that sits on a benchtop.
Yeah. And
that's what we were doing last year, right? This year, what we're doing is we're building that in a bigger system. We've got a flow system running, and we're demonstrating it in a bigger scale. And then that's going to be the next scale is quite a large, what we call a pilot prototype, which is what the pilot will actually look like, but just smaller and inside the testing facility. And then that's the design basis for the pilot itself. And what you're basically doing is, in a controlled environment, you're de-risking the operational side of this, right? So that as you grow it, the operations become more and more certain. So when you put it out in the field, you've got all the little kinks worked out so that it works as expected. If there always usually are surprises, but you minimize those so that you have a successful pilot. I mean, that's the number one thing, is that not just that we pilot, but that it's also successful. And the pilot prototype, the success of that, and when we talk about that and announce that in the future, that's a huge indication that the pilot will likely be successful as well.